Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Africans in the continent, Africans in the diaspora. My name is Maxwell O. Thompson Elog, a distinguished fellow and founder of NobbleAfriq Institute. NobbleAfriq is a think tank, and our mission is remaking the people through remaking the society. That's our mission. Our main vision is to launch what we call the Afro modernity. Afro modernity, because the rest of the world, Europe have their own modernity, American modernity, Asian modernity, all these have their own modernity, including their own enlightenment. But only Africa were unable to invent or create our own modernity. So everything we're going to be talking about in the days to come, the entire goal of NobbleAfriq is wrapped up in this one particular vision: to create Afro modernity. Why? Because we're tired of the Western ideology. We're tired of following the Western people. We're tired of using people as a crutch. So this is the beginning of our trying to resolve our own problems. So we're going to be dealing with the problem of undevelopment, problem of tribalism and ethnicity. That means in trying to erect the program of national identity and values, poverty, and so many leadership. Please, I don't want to forget that. Leadership. And we're going to be dealing with women issues in order to make us to understand that women are not the opposite of men. No, they're not. These are a whole being of their own. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do in order to resolve this problem, to start looking at African problem today, is that we want to look back into history to bring the crisis of Africa back into the world history, because Africa is part of the world. There's no way you talk about Africa without talking about the history of the world. So we are part of it. And because of that, we have to bring all the circumstances within that history to be able to understand our predicaments. Today we look at post-colonial Africa. After the independence, we still have instability across Africa. We don't have good leadership. And what caused that? We found out the causes was what I call disintegrated individualism. Disintegrated individualism. I don't care whoever you bring there. I don't care the number of degrees they have. They come, put them in power, they'll still act the same way. So this disintegrated individualism is effect of the plague that plagued Africa. Because African humanity himself have been removed from their cosmic origin. And they were placed under the white ideology, European ideology. And this European ideology are nothing but artificially constructed ideology. So for Africans to exist, we have to return. We have to return back to our roots. We have to try to understand how our ancestors tried to make sense of the world. We want to understand how our ancestors established the world. And in trying to understand it does not mean that we're going to start living their life. No, because their sense and sensibility, their consciousness and what they created, today we've outgrown that consciousness. We live in a different consciousness. So we try to understand it and then invent our own worldview. Because our ancestors in the 6th, 8th century, They started the same time with the Europeans in what we call the pre-Socratic period, when the human consciousness, all they could perceive is pictures. They were not able to perceive thoughts. They perceive pictures and they function instinctively. Everything they do is instinctively. Until the 4th century, when Socrates, Plato, Aristotle emerged. That's the beginning of thought. And the beginning of thought in Greece did not fall from heaven. They returned back to the pre-Socratic period, and through this pre-Socratic period, they were able to develop the new thought system, develop logic, morality, epistemology, metaphysics. So Africans up to that time were thinking in terms of the pre-Socratic period. That's people that think in terms of nature and resolve things based on nature. And this continued with Africans up to the medieval period. And the medieval period, then we had a break. In the medieval period, find that Africans were able to identify themselves with some immortal spirit, soul. Their soul expanded, unfolded. They were able to see that. Then some of them identified these spirits in the trees, in the rivers, and so on. So when the missionaries came, they said, Africans, they worship dead God. Not at all. But this system, Africans left it alone. They left it alone, and today we start trying to duplicate it to live that same lifestyle. No, we can't live it. But there's one thing Africans generally have in common. What they share in common is that they understood that they have the world of their ancestors. From where I come from, before they drink their palm wine, they will have to pour libation to their ancestors. They say they're watching us, we have to give them. So with colonialism, with slavery, and with this plague that plagued Africa, that's the transformation of human consciousness into materialism, into mechanistic way of thinking about life and thinking about the world. When we were pushed into that way of thinking, that's why we gave up our ancestral thinking on how to develop it. But today, it has evolved. It continues to evolve. You look at 19th century idealism, the romanticism in Europe, and so on. These are legacies of that way of thinking of our ancestors. Talk about people like Kant, Hegel, Fichte, all these guys that emerged. Even some traces of the existentialism at the time of Jean-Paul Sartre and so on. Oh yes, of course. All these are the legacies and vestiges of African way of thinking. So NobbleAfriq is focused to start rethinking these cosmic principles and way of thinking. By doing that, you as an individual, we're going to try to awaken your self-consciousness. What they call capacity building, No, what we're going to do is to awaken your self-consciousness. For you to understand the hidden principles of the universe. So this cosmic dimension that you're going to be moving your consciousness to will enable you to be able to create. You understand the laws of nature, then you create. Say, this is what NobbleAfriq is about. Because you look at American founding fathers. The American founding fathers, majority of them were Masonic Lodge. They were Masonic Lodge members, and they studied the mysteries of the universe. So why do we have to throw away the African metaphysics that they are illusory? No, they're not. This is what NobbleAfriq is going to be doing. This is what we're going to be teaching you. And this is just the first part of it. So in the next video I'm going to bring out, we're going to start looking at this disintegrated individualism. Why is it that morality completely collapsed from the beginning, from the lowest level of human being to the top? Why do morality disappeared? But people, when you go back to your village, you obey the laws. Why? Why do you obey the laws in your village, but you can't obey the laws in the city? You see, because within that village, they're dealing with a living universe. Cosmic, that is a cosmos that is alive. Is that whatever they're doing, you don't need police. You pay the price. That's why people refrain from that. But when you come into the city which becomes an abstract world, police have to watch you, people have to watch you, you have to design what is called the code of conduct. And that's why many people don't obey it, don't follow it. So with NobbleAfriq, we're going to be dealing with a living world, the world of those our ancestors, and we start to develop them to become applicable in the contemporary society. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to go to our website, www.NobbleAfriq.com, and I have a book that I published. You go there, you see it, and you can download it from Amazon, and the people in America, you find it in all the bookstores. It's called Africa, the Road to Afro-Modernity. Africa, the Road to Afro-Modernity. So today, we really want to be African. We want to understand today what it means to be an African. That's exactly the main focus and direction of NobbleAfriq. Ladies and gentlemen, African in the diaspora, African in the continent, thank you very much. Thank you so very much for your time. And I'll be talking to you next time. I'm going to come up with this program, the issue of disintegrated individualism. And that will make you to fully understand that in any society, if you don't remake the people, the society will never go. You have to remake the people in order to remake the society. It's not giving laws. This law, this, that. No. The people focus on them. You remake them, then you see the transformation in your society. Thank you. God bless.